So let's look at what is the small business and startup is all about. So basically three things which make the startup. So first is the entrepreneur. So now everybody must be wondering, who is this entrepreneur? So entrepreneurs are not those, the individual. It is basically the combination of the co-founders, the individual team, the core team, which has some business idea. So now business idea, I will also be talking about what business idea. Currently focusing on what are the entrepreneurs, who are the entrepreneurs, and how they move their work. So basically entrepreneurs are 2 or 3 individuals with some business idea, and they form the core team. Then if they have any kind of a business idea, they would have to focus on entrepreneurship. Now, what is this entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is nothing but it's a process. It's a kind of a process, a kind of a journey where the entrepreneurs, along with their business idea, would focus on something to do with business model, business description. So business description, when I say, it is more something to do with the development of those enterprise, where you form a company, where you get into the actual, doing a business transaction with any kind of let's say business entity, either B2C, B2B, B2G, or a combination of any of these three. So as far as, since I'm a lawyer, so I'll also tell you how to go ahead. So as far as Companies Act 2013, there are different definitions of business description. How will you start as in India, and how these support function arise. So a lot of opportunities have been given for the entrepreneurs if they want to go for one-person company, or they want to go for, let's say, limited liability partnership, private limited companies, or the limited companies, and special, as a position of a director for women entrepreneurship. So definitely, if as an entrepreneur, if you're supporting the women entrepreneurship, the governments also support you. So when I talk about business model, so all these three combination, entrepreneurship, and the enterprise, basically creates the business model. Now, what is this business model? Business model is nothing but with your business idea, what value you are creating. Then after creating a value, how are you delivering that value? And when you have delivered that value, how are you capturing that value? So capturing is something to do with commercialization, encashment. Okay, so three combination taken: create value, deliver value, and then capture value. Some of the reasons why any entrepreneurs would go for a business. So as Mr. Bradbury in 2011 explains that there could be numerous reasons to start a business. The new venture motivation can mainly define by two factors. Let us look at what are the pull factors. So pull factors are nothing but a positive influences that pull individual into entrepreneurial activity, which may arise from a desire. Let's say desire to achieve something, such as self-reliance dreams, need for achievement association, recognition empowerment, impulse for personal development, aspiration for creativity and artistry. So as we can see that most of the capital building nations like United States of America or European countries, why these countries are focusing, or they're the much better platform, because they work on the pull factors. As an Indian, let's say talk about scenarios as a lot of the limitations. We as an Indians, we majorly work on push factors. So now what are those push factors? Now push factors could be, the unemployment. Just most of the people still being very qualified, they lose jobs. So unemployment and need for job, recognition is one of those the cause of the push factors. Job insecurity. Let's build something, or else we'll get fired. So generally, most of the people working in the multinational company face such kind of the very volatile issues of jobs. So generally, that insecurity makes the entrepreneur to start their own venture. Family pressure, do something or you will just be considered as a non-entity or a waste person. So that is also one of the reasons. Insufficient salary, I want more. That is where most of the entrepreneurs they need for, if they want to go for career limitation, they don't see any growth in that organization, so definitely they look out for some kind of a push factors. And let's say no choice but to innovate, just like an uncertain event here, as in the case of pandemic COVID-19, as most of the people and the qualified people, they have been out from the job. So they have no choice but to innovate, look at the market scenarios, conditions, and go for and take this opportunity of pandemic COVID-19 and turn themselves into the entrepreneurs. So if, let's say, if anybody is an entrepreneur, okay, so and as an entrepreneur, he has entered into the entrepreneurship or the enterprise. So what should be the 5 focus point area for any startups? So if any entrepreneur is missing any of these 5 focus point area, let's see, like Naresh ji has rightly mentioned, when they look out for the entrepreneurs in the incubation centers, they look out for the entire perspective, whether they are meeting all those criteria or not. So I have narrowed down to basically the 5 main factors. So if these 5 factors are there, definitely your startups will get selected. Even the government will pay attention to it, and definitely the more of the investor interest also. So let's look at these 5 focus areas. Okay, so new and unique idea for unmet needs. So what are these unmet needs? The needs which have never been taken care of. So a unique proposition, a new idea out of box. Second, technological innovation. So technological innovation is very important, because when we are entered into a digital transformation age, where we talk about the use of the digital technologies, the digital equipments, tools, as a mode of communication. So definitely technological innovation is the very important factor. Third, commercial viable business. If your business is adding any kind of a commercial value, then definitely investor will show an interest. Any organization will show interest. So definitely the focus point of every startup co-founder would also be there, that how are you making the money out of that, how you are basically entering into any kind of a commercial business deal. Fourth, scalability of the business. So let's say scalability of the business, I think all the management graduate students would understand. As Michael Porter, and if you must have gone through the BCG matrix, everywhere it says that scalable business, cash flows. So you can, or any of not these startups would not be able to do a cash flows for a, let's say, more number of years unless they do a kind of innovation. So definitely for 6 months, one business model, another from 6 months to 12 months, different business model. So you see, then again, from 12 months to 24 months, different business model. Then you see that there is a scalability, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The step ahead, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should be, rising the platforms. And last, servicing the social and the ecosystem at large. What would any innovation or a startup co-founders, if they're making $1 billion of money, if they're not adding any value to the system? So definitely those ecosystem stabilization, or the social and needs should also be solved through that startups. And the 5 points here I conclude that these should be very much taken right at the advance, as just like Mr. Naresh was mentioning. The startup co-founders need to have a vision. If there is no vision, then definitely these points get lagged. Let us look few definitions of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs ties different stages of business life cycle of the startups, from birth of an idea through a maturity. So this definition is given by Mr. Salim Zida, 2015. Now, since we have entered into digital transformation, again, the change of definition, you see, the new age entrepreneurial transformation evolving to Industry 4.0 works in the combination of three components, namely evolution of business idea, business process, and technological innovation. You see that technological innovation is coming again and again. So now let's see, what is this innovation? So this is a basic definition of innovation. So I got it from, so this is more of a Grantha definition. The innovation is a function of entrepreneurial activity. I've kept it as a goal of entrepreneurial activity by combining the new resources for solving a problem by implementation in product, process, and services. So just to conclude, this definition was given by Mr. Schumpeter in 1934. So you can just, so it's more of, any innovation can only happen in either of these three things only, either in product or the processes or the services. So three innovations can only be product innovation, process innovation, and service innovation. So as a legal person, if any of these innovation things are happening, you can go ahead for intellectual property rights. And once you have the intellectual property rights, definitely you can go for licensing of a product, or you can go for more commercial benefit of the products. So now let's look at some other definition. In order to sustain cash flows and growth, it is imperative technological innovation should act as enablers at different life cycle of the startup. So now we see that there is a new term which has come, life cycle of the startups. So we'll see what this life cycle of the startup is all about, and definitely in fact, everybody should get the value addition about this, what life cycle of the startup, since we have been talking about startup, small business. So unless we don't understand the life of the startups or of small businesses, I think just talking about it will only be just a formal discussion and not make any sense when we are not adding anything towards the strategy to it. So now innovation has also, has given a rise to incubational support. That is where good incubation support, especially in the form of technology business incubators, which are working as enabling for growth by evolving into technology support of the mentors, investors. So this definition is given by one of my professors, Mr. Sharma Joshi and Dr. Balvinder Shukla. Again, startups. So there's a very good definition about RISE in 2011. Startup is a human institution designed to create new product and service under condition of extreme uncertainty. So what is the period we are facing right now? COVID pandemic 19. Uncertain event. Nobody would have actually thought about it. And in fact, we had an event in somewhere in about February 2020, and nobody was discussing about this uncertain event. And see, we are discussing about this uncertain event more and more and more. So how to evolve this uncertain event? So startups get evolved into that level of the mature person in extreme uncertainty. Second, the encouraging demography, economic environment, and entrepreneurialism culture has made India highly conducive to entrepreneurial activity. And this is why we're saying that since 2014, when the startup in India initiative was taken, and where one of the startups, like in 2007 when Flipkart came into the market, and it started growing since 2011-12 when they did some successful commercial deal, and e-commerce was evolved. People started believing in the startup. Like Paytm entered into the startup or the e-commerce ecosystem in around 2013, and similarly so many startups got evolved since 2014, 15, 16. And I will also show you how the change of the technology side has been happening. So now with startup success, they also create a sense that original innovation and technologies can bring fruitful economic growth to the ecosystem at large. So you can see that when we are talking about startups, we are talking about the entrepreneurs, we are talking about the technological innovation, we are talking about the commercial deal, we are talking about the scalable business and the ecosystem also at large. So that ecosystem is serving some kind of a social needs also.